April 1940. Over Norway, the skies darken as German bombers close in, their engines rumbling like an approaching storm. Below, slicing through the freezing waters, a lone warship holds its course small, outgunned, but unshaken. Then, the first bombs fall. Her guns roar to life. HNoMS Sleipner is about to defy the impossible. The dawn breaks over Norway, but it brings no peace. The deep growl of aircraft engines builds into a menacing roar. Through gaps in the clouds, dark crosses fill the sky as German bombers close in. Below, a single vessel slices through the cold, steel-gray waters of Romsdalsfjord. A lone survivor, a symbol of Norwegian defiance. Small, just 708 tons, barely more than a large torpedo boat, HNoMS Sleipner stands ready. Her crew, tense but unwavering, take their positions at the anti-aircraft guns, prepared for the storm about to unfold. The first bomb lands. A towering column of water erupts just 65 feet from her hull. The next blast shakes her decks, and then another. The sea churns in fury, waves laced with fire and smoke. Yet amid the chaos, her gunners remain focused, their weapons locked onto the incoming threat, fingers steady on the triggers. Norway may already be falling, but Sleipner refuses to be just another casualty in Hitler's conquest. As long as she has fuel in her tanks and ammunition in her magazines, she will fight. When HNoMS Sleipner was launched at Karljohansfjord Naval Shipyard on May 7, 1936, she was more than just a new addition to the Norwegian Royal Navy. She was the beginning of a new era. Named after Odin's legendary eight-legged horse, Sleipner was the first of a modern class designed to replace the aging Draught-class destroyers from World War I. She was also Norway's first new torpedo ship in almost 20 years, marking the end of a long period of stagnation caused by economic and political struggles. However, her designers faced a challenge. They had to create a vessel that could compete with foreign destroyers while remaining compact and affordable. The result was remarkable. At just 244 feet long and 708 tons fully loaded, Sleipner was closer in size to a large torpedo boat than a typical destroyer. Yet she was deceptively powerful. Powered by 2 de Laval-geared steam turbines and 3 Yarrow boilers, she reached 30 knots as fast as many larger destroyers. Her 100-ton fuel capacity gave her a range of 3,500 nautical miles. More importantly, she was the first Norwegian warship to use aluminum in key structures, reducing top weight and improving stability in the rough sea. Her high-strength steel hull was reinforced with watertight bulkheads, though the lack of a double bottom reduced her durability. Even so, she was better protected than her predecessors. Her armament was a generational leap over the outdated Draught class. Instead of obsolete 3-inch guns, Sleipner carried 3 modern 10-centimeter Bofors guns, a 40mm anti-aircraft gun, and 2 12.7mm Colt machine guns, essential in an era where air power was increasingly crucial. Her 2 modern 21-inch torpedo tubes gave her a significant edge, making her a serious threat to larger enemy ships. Sleipner may have been small, but she was built to fight. When Sleipner joined the Royal Norwegian Navy in 1937, she was assigned to the 2nd Naval District, responsible for the strategically vital regions of Vestlandet and Trøndelag along Norway's western coast. As tensions in Europe escalated toward war, Sleipner would soon find herself at the center of an international incident that drew global attention. In October 1939, just weeks after World War II began, she became entangled in a diplomatic crisis. The American freighter city of Flint had been seized by the German pocket battleship Deutschland, which declared its cargo of tractors, grain, and fruit as contraband. With a German prize crew now in control, the ship attempted to reach Germany. Seeking refuge, the city of Flint entered the Norwegian port of Tromsø on October 20th, citing damage at sea, a right known as havaré. However, Norway refused to recognize the claim. Already concerned by recent German attacks on Norwegian merchant vessels, Norwegian authorities demanded that the Germans leave within 24 hours. On October 21st, Sleipner received orders to escort the captured freighter out of Norwegian waters. At 4:20 p.m., she firmly but professionally ensured that the city of Flint was returned to international waters. The Germans, now unable to reach their homeland, diverted the ship to Murmansk in the Soviet Union, arriving on October 23rd. Despite having signed a non-aggression pact with Germany, the Soviets were not yet directly involved in the war. After several days of tense negotiations, the Soviets forced the city of Flint to depart. The German crew then attempted to re-enter Norwegian waters, this time at Haugesund. Once again, Norway refused entry, now formally declaring the German crew as kidnappers. The crisis was resolved when Norwegian forces boarded the city of Flint and returned her to her American captain. Sleipner's involvement in this sensitive operation caught between a neutral United States, an increasingly aggressive Germany, and the complexities of international law reflected Norway's desperate efforts to remain outside the conflict. Yet, while Norway sought neutrality, German plans for invasion were already underway, making it increasingly difficult to stay out of the war. On April 8, 1940, Sleipner was patrolling Hustadvika Bay alongside the patrol boat Syrian. Their mission was to monitor what appeared to be a British minefield, reportedly laid the previous day by the destroyers Hero and Hyperion as part of Operation Wilfred. In reality, the mines were fictitious, part of a strategic deception designed to disrupt German naval movements. But Sleipner's crew had little time to contemplate this mystery. Rumors were already circulating a German invasion was imminent. Before long, orders arrived. Sleipner was to join the torpedo boats Trigon Seld at the mouth of Romsdalsfjord, tasked with preventing any German incursion. The urgency of the situation became clear the following morning. Captain Ernst Ullring received confirmation Germany had launched a massive surprise invasion along Norway's entire coastline. The attack stretched over 1,500 miles, targeting multiple strategic ports simultaneously. On April 11th, new orders arrived from Rear Admiral Karsten Tank Nielsen, commander of the 2nd Naval District. Ullring was to take command of the newly established Romsdalsfjord Naval District, formed just a day earlier. His forces were limited but determined. Sleipner, the torpedo boats Trig, Sild and Skray, and an improvised air group consisting of a Norwegian seaplane, a captured German Arado 196, and 2 British Supermarine Walrus aircraft. Captain Ullring wasted no time. On April 12th, acting on intelligence from 2 days earlier, he set out to investigate reports of 2 German vessels moving along the coast. They were identified as the merchant vessel Ruard, a 1,080-ton freighter from Duisburg, and the 420-ton trawler Thuringen, fleeing from Alezen when the invasion began. Both ships had anchored in Stedevika Bay near Skaja, raising suspicions that they might be carrying German troops. To intercept them, Ullring coordinated with local defense forces, a militia of about 100 civilian volunteers, organized by police officer Henrik Die Quayle. Armed mostly with Krag Jorgensen rifles and shotguns, these men stood ready to prevent any German escape overland. Leading the naval operation, Sleipner was accompanied by the torpedo boat Trig and the guard boat Commonwealth, as they moved in to seize the German vessels. Upon entering Stedevika Bay, the German crews abandoned their ships and fled into lifeboats. Lieutenant Dagfinn Kiehold, Sleipner's second-in-command, led a boarding party onto the Ruhr. Though the freighter's machinery had been sabotaged beyond immediate repair, the search of Thuringen revealed something far more alarming: 2 armed bombs hidden in the engine and boiler rooms. After safely disarming the explosives, the Norwegians repurposed Thuringen as a guard vessel, ensuring it would no longer serve the enemy. As Luftwaffe bombers unleashed their relentless assault on Romsdalsfjord, Sleipner stood firm in her defense of the region. As the most capable warship in Captain Ullring's small task force, she took the lead in protecting Allied operations in the Moldenalsens area. On April 20th, Sleipner faced her first major aerial attack in Romsdalsfjord. As German bombers descended upon her, she responded with deadly precision. Her 40mm Bofors anti-aircraft gun roared to life, sending a barrage of fire skyward. One German bomber hit directly, spiraled out of control and crashed into the sea near the island of Seken. Several other aircraft, trailing smoke, barely managed to escape. 2 days later, Sleipner claimed another enemy bomber, this time crashing at Narvik. That same day, she protected a shipment of requisitioned horses from an air attack, even as German planes dropped 48 bombs around her. One explosion struck dangerously close, just 65 feet from her hull, but Sleipner remained undamaged. Between battles, Sleipner's crew relied on cunning survival tactics. To evade Luftwaffe reconnaissance, they anchored in Romsdalsfjord, camouflaging their ship with tree branches to blend into the landscape. But their luck could not last forever. On April 25th, 12 German bombers launched a relentless attack on Sleipner. The ship was raked by strafing runs, bullets tearing across her decks. Yet, miraculously, her crew remained unharmed. Despite their resilience, the constant battle had taken its toll. That night, at 11:25 p.m., Sleipner, low on ammunition and needing urgent repairs, finally withdrew from Andalsnes. She had accomplished her mission. 2 weeks of unyielding resistance had bought vital time for Allied forces, and in the process, she had begun to forge her legend. Under the cover of darkness, Sleipner slipped away from the Norwegian coast, setting course westward across the North Sea. On April 26th, at 7 p.m., she reached Lerwick in the Shetland Islands, where her unexpected arrival initially alarmed British forces until her identity was confirmed. Her stay was brief. By 9 a.m. the next morning, she departed for Camouflage, the Royal Navy's major base in the Orkney Islands, arriving later that evening. But her respite would not last long. On April 30th, Sleipner left Camouflage bound for the River Tyne, where she was scheduled for much-needed repairs. Even this journey proved perilous. German mining operations forced her to divert to Rosyth before she could finally reach the Tyne shipyards. It would take until June 17th to fully repair the damage from 2 relentless weeks of combat. Back in Norway, stories of her bravery and resistance had captured the public's imagination. As a tribute, the Norwegian government selected Sleipner's image for a 5-oar postage stamp, honoring her as a symbol of defiance against German occupation. With her repairs complete, Sleipner was soon called back to duty. Assigned to escort duty along Britain's east coast, she helped protect the vital convoys that kept the British war effort alive. Her first mission after repairs came on June 27, 1940, when she joined convoy FNOT 206, departing from Southend. On September 8, 1940, when German bombers attacked merchant ships at Methel Roads, Sleipner rushed to aid the Dutch ship Stad Vlaardingen, towing her to safety. By July 1941, she had become an essential part of Rosyth Command's escort force, operating alongside British and Dutch warships to protect convoys from U-boats and air attacks. In 1942, Sleipner underwent a significant upgrade. Her main guns were replaced with 2 dual-purpose 4-inch pieces, better suited for engaging both enemy ships and aircraft. In an ironic twist, her original 3 10-centimeter guns were sent to reinforce the Norwegian garrison in Svalbard, only to be destroyed in a German raid on the Arctic archipelago. By the time she was decommissioned from the Royal Navy on March 10, 1944, Sleipner had escorted 156 convoys through some of the war's most dangerous waters. Despite Luftwaffe claims of sinking her 3 times, the unsinkable ship lived up to her legend, securing her place in Norwegian naval history. Like her mythical namesake, Odin's 8-legged steed, Sleipner had proven herself unstoppable, untouchable, and unwilling to be caught or destroyed. As peace returned to Europe in May 1945, Sleipner sailed home to Norway. After years of relentless wartime service, she was placed in reserve, yet the Norwegian Navy still saw a future for her. In 1948, Sleipner underwent a comprehensive modernization, transforming her into a frigate. Her designation changed multiple times during this period, first as H-48 in 1946, and later as F-300. The upgrades enhanced her anti-submarine warfare capabilities, allowing her to meet the evolving demands of naval combat in the early Cold War. Despite her age, Sleipner remained in active service throughout the 1950s, operating alongside her sister ship Geiler. Geiler, which had previously served under the German Navy as Lowe, was returned to Norwegian control after the war. Eventually, both ships reached the end of their long journeys. In the late 1950s, Sleipner and Geiler were retired and sold for scrap, bringing a final close to their storied careers. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to FLYTOP for more true war stories from history. Stay with us, there's always more to uncover.